Segueing still with DC movies, the final issue of the Flash prequel comic book came along. And since I read the other two, I read this one. Story-wise, I guess mostly the second one was the better one. I don't know. This one was kind of stupid, even though the art somewhat improved. So anyway, yes, they introduce the top. So you can guess. Yes, top and bottom jokes. I doubt that any of this would be referenced in the movie. Maybe. I don't know. They didn't do much. The suit's pretty much the same for him. But anyway, you get some information about the character and all this. And then, he's threatening to blow up the whole city to demonstrate how good at explosives he is to sell weapons to bad people, even though they're saying, hey, we don't want you to blow up the whole city. But he's too full of himself. So I don't know why you would even bother with a mask like that, you know. But anyway, so he beats the Flash, and then the Flash has got to figure out, oh no, I can't beat this guy. What do I do? And he goes and cries to his dad in prison and all that. Then he practices his powers a little more and discovers he can, create after images of himself. And of course, hey, that's going to fit into the plot. He visits Dad again. I'm not sure about myself. I mean, my friend the Flash. Yeah, your friend the Flash. Yeah, he doesn't feel like he's up to the job. And you tell him to listen to Barry Allen and all that. So he gets a pep talk from Daddy. And guess what? He defeats the top. So the top ends up on bottom. Yeah. So then he shows up back at prison as the Flash to go thank his dad. And the dad plays along like he doesn't know. And there you go. The Flash. Coming soon, perhaps, maybe, I don't know, to a theater near you for whatever reason at this point, to reboot the the DC movies. Yeah, reboot the Disney movies too while you're at it. But anyway, so that's it. Is there any reason? There never really was a reason to read these comics because often these prequel tie-ins to movies mean absolutely nothing, and doubly so this time around because at this point I'm not sure the movie gets released. I don't know what's going on over there. So as of now, they're going to release it. So there you go. So, gee, we're all caught up, huh? Yeah, we're all caught up and ready for the Flash. So the other title I got back into was Batman, written by Chip Zdarsky. Heard good things about it. There were some good things in it, although the Zur-En-Ah thing, Zur-En-R, I was never a fan of. I mean, it's just too far flung. I mean, you end up Batman is as crazy as Moon Knight and really messed up and should be forcibly retired and given severe treatment. But as a result of all of this, in his other identity, he created this doomsday machine Terminator that no one can stop, not even Superman. And well, look at the results. So it's gee, Batman, that's really stupid. And that's kind of the same situation you ended up in when Ra's al Ghul found out all his contingencies. But that was a better story, and you could understand the logic in Batman's thinking. If the Justice League ever became a threat, he needed to know ways to take them out. And then it blew up in his face, but still, and then now this is even worse. You built a Terminator. So last issue, they battled at the Watchtower and all this stuff, and Batman was left floating out in space. So that's it for Batman. How's he going to get out of this one? Well, he's Bat God now. It's just ridiculous. I mean, there's even one of the javelins of the spaceships. If you could have, that he figured out how to hotwire it back to make it fly good enough to get him, so that would have been better. well, I'm skipping a little too far, but I didn't put in the pages in here to show it all, but he basically surfs his way back to Earth, and it's stupid. Just after that, it's what else is there, you know? So Failsafe had defeated Superman before with kryptonite, of course, but now Superman's ready because they're at the Fortress of Solitude, and he's got his battle armor at Walmart now, and he flies over to take on Bat Terminator, and gets his ass handed to him again. It doesn't work out because Bat Terminator manages to trick him into blasting his heat vision inside his helmet, and it fries his face. So he's gonna have to recover from that. So after defeating Superman, dragging him along, Batman and Robin decide to take him on one last time. And after he just defeated Superman, they charge in. But this time, Batman's got a plan. There's a back of Failsafe's head where he thinks he can put a flash drive in there that'll upload compassion. There he goes. He's, oh no, compassion. And so there you go. The program compassion. So that Failsafe won't be so cold and heartless in its mission to kill Batman, because it believes Batman has become too much of a menace. Well, that didn't work out, and it shot Batman and disintegrated him, and Robin's crying and upset. And the Failsafe says, well, killing him was compassion. because you know he's all messed up, and based on the logic of this narrative, you have to conclude Failsafe is right. So, oh no, Batman's dead again. Well, oh, what's this? Oh, so he's been teleported somewhere. So this is, boy, I tell you, it's ripping off the Ra's al Ghul deal they did in Justice League with Grant Morrison. But also another Grant Morrison story was Final Crisis, where Darkseid seemingly kills Batman, and Dick Grayson took his place for a while and all that. But what had really happened was Darkseid had transported Batman to the distant past, with him being flung forward back to the future as a contingency plan, because Batman's arrival back to his normal timeline would, I don't know, destroy the universe or something like that. So they had to figure out how to fix it, and they did. But anyway, the point is, here he is transported somewhere else again, seemingly made to look as if he had died in front of Robin, when really, no, here he is. He's banged up and burnt and stuff, but he's still alive. So I just don't, you know, because a lot of it was seen. There were some scenes that looked cool, and it's like, oh, I wonder what this is and all that. But ultimately, this wasn't very good at all. It was. There's no woke stuff in it, so that, you know, I realize that's a plus these days. But he's still gotta come up with something. So it's the finale. It's okay, because I mean the robot's still walking around when he teleported him. Maybe they'll find out the robot did it, but he lets Robin think, yeah, he's dead. Whatever. It doesn't matter. This was mostly a waste of time, and that's unfortunate. So finally, over at Marvel, what the hell's going on over there with Spider-Man? Well, I shuddered to think, but I found out that there was a Hobgoblin story, and I'm a sucker for the Goblin stories with Spider-Man. And Hobgoblin hadn't been around a while. They had another one for a while, and I wasn't very interested in that. But this one was apparently the original Hobgoblin, both of them. And that was interesting. And actually, for the run, I think it was 11, 12, and 13. I can't remember. I'm sorry. But this is the final one here. Wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty interesting. There's bizarre things going on in which I don't know what's happened, but Peter Parker and Norman Osborn are buddies. Peter works for Norman Osborn. I guess all's forgiven about Gwen Stacy or whatever. Obviously, there's been several reboots and timeline changes and stuff. So, but I'm assuming they still have the narrative that he killed Gwen Stacy. But harking back to the old stories was, Norman Osborn would always get a bump on his head and forget that he was the Green Goblin and forget that Spider-Man was Peter Parker. And Spider-Man didn't turn him in because he felt sorry for him, because he felt, well, he's got a mental illness and he's not really responsible for his actions. And plus, he's the father of my best friend. So he wouldn't do much about it. So I'm guessing this is kind of the same thing, where he's very much aware that he was the Goblin, but he doesn't want to be the Goblin anymore, and he's trying to make amends of it. But all of this is part of an overall arc that'll get him to lose his mind and go back to being the Green Goblin. But now we have two hobgoblins seeking revenge on both Norman Osborn and Spider-Man. And Spider-Man has a new super suit, not from Tony Stark, but from Norman. Oh, yeah. And so you have Roderick Kingsley, who Roger Stern revealed was always the original Hobgoblin. I wasn't too keen on that. I actually preferred Tom DeFalco's response, making it Ned Leeds. But it wasn't Ned Leeds. But they came up with a story where Hobgoblin had brainwashed Ned into thinking he was the Hobgoblin, and sometimes Ned would pose as the Hobgoblin. So that's why he's done it again. Ned's back to being Hobgoblin. How he came back from the dead, I don't know. That's another story. I'm sure a previous issue explained, so he's not dead anymore. But here they are together again, and he has opera gloves and high boots. That's how you know it's Ned. And Roderick doesn't have that. So there they are, flying and fighting Spider-Man because, they don't like him. And it doesn't look good. And Spider-Man gets soundly beaten. They fry his face and everything, and they decide to impale him on the glider. But then, oh no, who's this? It's the Golden Goblin. That's Norman Osborn's latest identity, which is basically, and I don't know if they connect this to the time when he took over Tony Stark's stuff and Iron Patriot and all that and utilized it here. But anyway, that's the deal. He saves Peter from the goblins, and blasts him with his new gold goblin suit. And the Kingsley Goblin nearly falls to his death, but he's saved by Ned Leeds, and then reveals that, you idiot, I was brainwashing you the whole time. Knocks him off. Spider-Man saves him. And but Ned Leeds won't give up. He still keeps trying to kill Peter. Norman saves him again. And this is part of the deal, that Norman's getting too violent. And Peter's like, you're losing control. Oh, gee, I hope that's not a bad sign. It is, dummy. But then Roger Kingsley goes back to his hideout, and there's the brainwash machine that was introduced way back when in Hobgoblin Lives, which is where Roger Stern came back and sort of tied up the loose ends and all that. And he tells his boys to leave, but then he sits in the brainwashing chair, and somebody activates it to erase his memory. So he actually has been manipulated as well. Who could it be? Oh, it's, what's her name? I don't know. This is a new character. Goblin Queen, I think, or something. But that's Madeline Pryor. Oh, I don't know. I'm forgetting who she is, but she's behind it all. And it leads off into another, the following issue talks about Ben Reilly's mad, and he doesn't have his memories, and now he's an evil spider guy called Chasm. And he goes into another dimension and meets Madeline Pryor, who, of course, was the Goblin Queen. But their connection only is that they're both clones. She's a clone of Jean Grey, and he's a clone of Peter Parker and all that. So, oh, poor them. So, hey, maybe they should get together. But it's interesting that they would do that, because years ago I made this joking image of Goblin Queen Madeline Pryor hooking up with the Green Goblin. Yes, and so, hey, maybe that's what's going to happen. But then she'll have to get in a cat fight with this chick, But the issue in and of itself, it's all surreal and whatnot, but it's just far afield from all of this. So really, I was just interested in seeing the Hobgoblin back in action, and for a moment, it was cool. Does this really go anywhere of anything of interest, or is it just too bizarre to team up Spider-Man with the X-Men because they both have, enemies named Goblin? Yeah, well, yeah, whatever. But see, I was just kidding. But anyway, there you go. There. Oh boy, did this run long. So not a whole lot good there, I guess. Some high points here and there, but not much to recommend. And it's going to be years before we know what the deal is with the DC movies and all that. But and we don't really know where the comics are going. Right now, they're all going down, and artists can't be paid and all this stuff. Well, that doesn't sound good. So I don't know. Again, look up some old comics you may have missed and read those. Anyway, there you go for this Mr. Nailsin's Wednesday Comics.